Republicans are willing to rewrite these rules to give themselves an advantage, then they're leaving us no choice. We must do the same. There's a phrase, you have to fight fire with fire. That is a true statement of how we're feeling right now. As I said, another overused but applicable phrase, all's fair in love and war.
Democrats. They got firebombing Jewish governors' houses and businesses and police cars and courthouses and state houses. And that's Democrat New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Got to fight fire with fire. Of course, the Republicans aren't setting anything on fire, trying to have a civil discussion, which the Democrats have for many years made impossible. They shot President Trump once already, sent another guy who tried to shoot him as well. Shot Congressman Steve Scalise. They're shooting police officers all over the country. Federal agents attacking federal agents. Shoot this one in the neck, and Democrats. Now, I saw a story this morning that got my attention. A couple of stories, really. One of them, August 17th of 2025, from Mediaite, the left-wing rag. I think they're based in Washington, aren't they? Aren't they all based in Washington? New York Times columnist David Brooks compares Trump-backed redistricting efforts to using, quote, mustard gas, end quote, on democracy. It's, World War I, the Germans using mustard gas on the battlefield in World War I. And New York Times columnist David Brooks used to pretend to be a conservative-leaning writer. That was all a lie. Compared redistricting efforts backed by President Donald Trump to using chemical weapons on civilians. Sure. And then they shot a bunch of people. Brooks and Jonathan Capehart. John, he just got a buyout. Remember when buyouts are terrible if government employees get buyouts. But if you're a Washington Post employee, you get a buyout, then it's great. They invite you to be on PBS. Brooks and Jonathan Capehart joined PBS this week to discuss the ongoing debate around redistricting, as well as Trump's Alaska summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who's a communist, just like the Democrat nominee for mayor of New York. Redistricting efforts in Texas have caused multiple Democratic lawmakers to flee the state in protest. They fled the state in it's protest, right? Firebombing stuff is protest, too. We'll get to that. Brooks compared, David Brooks, New York Times, compared redistricting congressional lines in Texas to Germany using mustard gas on civilians in World War I. Sure, perfect analogy. What better analogy could there be? He then made that the case for why Democrats like California Governor Gavin Newsom should not be responding in the same fashion. Say, wait a minute, that's pretty radical. He's an extremist. He's going to have to be banned from the Democratic Party now. He said, let's do a little ethical experiment here. In World War I, the Germans used mustard gas on civilians, and it helps them. Do you then decide, okay, we're going to use mustard gas on civilians? Now, really, the army is on the other side. You're trying to gas the army that's trying to kill you if you're on the Allied side, but never mind that. What Trump ordered Abbott to do in Texas is mustard gas on our democracy. I really haven't seen any proof that Trump ordered Texas to do it. Texas is an independent republic, but never mind that. Some people would feel, okay, that was terrible. We have to fight back. It's horrible. It's fighting fire with fire. It's fire with fire, right? But we're going to fight back because that's war. The Democrats use the martial language all the time, the language of war all the time. Gavin Newsom is leaping into this with both legs. Sure, it's somebody else paying for him, too. And to me, there is a moral stain, says David Brooks, that will accompany anybody who does this, because basically they're destroying our democracy. You don't let politicians pick voters. You let voters pick politicians. Very insightful. And the people who oppose gerrymandering, they're the ones defending democracy, right? Defending democracy. redistricting. David Brooks predicted that race to the bottom and da-da-da. What's going to happen, he said, is that we're going to have a race to the bottom where it's in the middle of, and I fully grant you that Trump started it, right? So I'm not saying it's totally morally equivalent, the moral people, and then they aborted 40% of the black babies in the country for another year because they're the party of slavery and the bullwhip. But never mind that. So, and they start preaching morality. They've already lost because, honestly, go back to the plantation. Why don't you? A loss of faith in the system, a loss of faith in democracy, and literally less democracy. So that's the story today, because PBS, suckling on the taxpayer teat at our expense, my expense and your expense, peddling the Democrat Party's propaganda because it's what they do. Then The Hill has a story. Obama leading Democratic redistricting fundraiser in Martha's Vineyard. Wait a minute, what's this? How Obama, former President Barack Obama, is set to appear at a Democratic redistricting group's fundraiser next month in Martha's Vineyard as the party looks to go toe-to-toe with Republicans' redistricting push in Texas. Obama is named as the special guest on an invitation for an event hosted by former Attorney General Eric Holder. The New York Times calls him Eric H. Holder Jr. It would be racist not to call him Eric H. Holder Jr. And Eric H. Holder Jr., isn't he Barack Obama's wingman? Isn't he? Because remember when President Trump had an attorney general that might not be his enemy? The news media was furious about this, and they burned police cars. But then Eric H. Holder came along.
I'm happy. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. There's still work to be done. I'm still a president's wingman, so I'm there with my boy.
My boy, and so he's the president's wingman. And that was all good because the left is a gang of criminals. So Obama named a special guest invitation event hosted by former Attorney General Eric H. Holder, Obama's wingman, the chair of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, which they naturally abbreviate in parentheses to the NDRC. And then they refer to the NDR, and then we have to all call it the NDRC and take up brain space with their latest abbreviation. And hang on, because Eric H. Holder is hosting and Barack Obama's the star, Nancy Pelosi will be there too, according to the invitation obtained by The Hill and first reported by Politico. The invitation says the dinner and discussion will benefit the NDRC redistricting, you see. It's not gerrymandering when Democrats do it, it's redistricting. And besides, Republicans did it first. I just saw PBS and the New York Times and who is this? Mediaite. They've all got, and The Hill, and the Republicans did it first. The Republicans did it first. But wait, because my head is not wedged entirely up into my dark and remote location, I'm capable of remembering things, and I have access to the internet, which they don't at the Washington Post or at Politico. But here's Politico, left-wing Politico in Washington, with an exclusive. Dems tap Obama for crucial redistricting push. The party sees shifts in 5 states before the end of the year. But wait, hang on a second. There's something peculiar about this. The date is August 25th, 2023. This is 2 years ago. And Obama was leading the push for redistricting in 5 key states before Election Day in 2024. Now, this is, and again, they have no memory of this at the Politico, even though they did it. They have no memory of this at the Washington Post, even though they read it. They have no memory of any of this because the Republicans are bad and Obama can slow the rise of the oceans. He is a godlike figure from Roman antiquity. And Politico wrote, again, in August 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years ago next week, August 25th of 2023, and they write, the House majority next year could be determined in a state-by-state fight over redistricting that's taking place right now, 2023. And there's only the fight. You may remember Hillary Clinton's slogan, there's only the fight. And Democrats are calling in the big guns. It's always reference to guns, isn't it? Stop shooting people. All right, how about that? The Democrats stopped shooting people today. We'd have crime stats like Sweden overnight. Former President Barack Obama hosted a fundraiser for the National Democratic Redistricting Committee on Thursday in 2023. The event in Martha's Vineyard, wait a minute, where all the millionaires and billionaires have their multi-million-dollar, Barack Obama, what's his $16 million oceanfront estate where his chef just learned to swim and then decided to take up paddleboarding, even though he didn't know how to swim and he drowned there, and that was not suspicious, and that's okay. The event in Martha's Vineyard raised $1.5 million, the committee told Politico, ahead of a crucial stretch of redistricting fights that will play out in the closing months of this year. The only danger is that we get complacent, Obama said at the fundraiser for the premier Democratic group working on redistricting battles, more battles and guns, and according to a readout obtained by Politico. Because one thing we've learned is the other side doesn't quit. Stop shooting people. The NDRC is helmed by Eric Holder. This is 2 years ago now, who served as Obama's first attorney general. Obama has been a vocal supporter of the NDRC, that's redistricting efforts in the past, which were launched in early 2017. Wait a minute, I thought the Republicans started it. And now I see in an article from 2 years ago that no one remembers that the Democrats launched their National Democratic Redistricting Conference, launched it in 2017. And Barack Obama was very involved 2 years ago in 2023. And now they're acting like, oh, now Obama's entering the... No, he's been involved for years. After the party was largely overrun by redistricting fights in the previous decade. That is a flagrant lie. And the Politico, the Democrats were not largely overrun by redistricting fights. Complete lie, complete lie. Democrats have been aggressive in recent fights over maps, and shooting a lot of people too, like police and members of Congress and presidents and things like that. And analysis found that lines are among the most balanced in decades. Now, wait a minute. Democrats began aggressive fights over maps, and analysts found that lines are among the most balanced in decades, but that's the opposite of what the Democrats just said. Yet a series of court rulings. The state courts blocked some Democrats' more aggressive gerrymanders. They used the word gerrymander. While some Republicans stood for the midterms, could have tipped the control of the House toward the GOP. And you see how the Democrats are fighting hammer and sickle against all of this because they're drunk with power. And they want to rip your children's genitals out, too. But increasingly, the battle over state lines does not end when the first map is drawn, with recent court fights reopening the map-making process in a handful of states across the country. Now, they got a guy named, what's his name? Bisignano, I think, is Bisignano, is a Democrat spokesman, John Bisignano. He says, we're now living in an era of perpetual redistricting. Now, what does that remind you of? The permanent campaign from the DNC. They inflicted that upon us. The president of the NDRC wrote in a memo accompanying the recent fundraising invitation, shared with Politico because they're all sleeping together in a sleeping bag with lots of lubricant. Now, the memo from the committee's project, 5 states could see new maps by the end of the year. Again, this is 2023 now. And they're targeting states and redistricting. It's gerrymandering, but the Democrats have the media call it redistricting when Democrats are doing it and gerrymandering when Republicans are doing it. Here they have their own story in Politico, but they're not writing about that today because now they got to pretend that they don't remember any of this. Hey, I want to talk to you about living a better digital life with one of our great partners, one of our newest partners, WebRoot. We love our partners supporting what we do here. I chose WebRoot because of their total protection product. WebRoot's all-in-one package offers plan options for individuals and for families. Individuals, up to 5 devices are covered. For families, up to 10 devices are covered. And they've got you covered no matter what. WebRoot's coverage includes antivirus protection, identity theft protection, VPN backup, and a whole lot more. Everything you need. And it's for everybody in the family. You know, you've got toddlers using iPads and phones now, and your grandparents living above the garage, you know, the in-law suite. WebRoot wants to make sure your entire family is protected, whether you're talking about your toddlers or your seniors. WebRoot allows my best girl and I to live a better digital life, and that's why I can honestly recommend that you do the same. Get 50% off right now WebRoot's Total Protection or WebRoot's Essentials plan when you go to webroot.com/plant. That's me. Again, get 50% off because we hang out together. Web's Total Protection or WebRoot's Essentials plan when you just go to webroot.com/plant. Yeah, so isn't it amazing? Our news media, they don't have access to the internet. They don't remember what they wrote 2 years ago. But I do. They lie all the time. They should get lucite blocks for lying. All right, let us go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Barry, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Barry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, let me tell you about some mustard gas that was dropped on Western Maryland 12 years ago. So for Maryland's 6th Congressional District used to be very simple. It was Western Maryland, which is Allegheny, Garrett, and Washington County, plus the next two counties in the row, Frederick and Carroll County. Very simple. And for 20 years, our representative was a man named Roscoe Bartlett. We all loved him, admired him, respected him. In 2013, the Democrats said, that's enough of that. So they took Carroll County out of Maryland 6 and folded it into Baltimore County with Baltimore County. And then to replace Carroll County, they created this bizarre goiter-shaped bulge, like a polyp, like the Battle of the Bulge. They carved out a portion of Montgomery County, which, as you know, and the local listeners know, is the most wackadoodle left-wing county probably in the entire country. And so now we have, for 12 years, we've had a Democrat representing Western Maryland, when for 30, 40 years it was a solidly Republican district. Mm-hmm. That was not in response to anything Republicans did. They just did it as a pure power grab, and that's all it was.
Well, I've got story after story, and you're 100% right, and I know the story of Roscoe Bartlett District. And now there's one remaining Republican district in the entire state of Maryland, and Democrats in Maryland are screaming about how they're going to do away with that one. They're probably going to firebomb it. This all started in 2017. That's coming up. Now, the communists, who sometimes call themselves Democrats, they go on panhandler broadcasting, suckling on the communist taxpayer teat, and their fake pseudo-conservative David Brooks at the New York Times goes on with Jonathan Capehart, who might be part of that Texas group for all I know. They go on and they say, oh, the Republicans started it, Trump started it, it's nerve gas, it's mustard gas, we're going to have to da-da-da-da-da. And, if we respond, and it's the end of the world. Now, here's the gigantic lie that these people peddle. Here is Politico, left-wing Politico, Washington-based, from January 12th, 2017. Now, you may recall that President Trump beat Hillary Clinton in the presidential contest in November of 2016. Now, on January 12th, we were just 8 days away from President Trump being inaugurated as President of the United States first time around. And they couldn't believe it. They were in a state of panic and shock, and some of them severed their genitalia. Others self-immolated. They behaved in a lot of different ways. But here is the headline from January 12th of 2017. Now, keep in mind also that the Democrats, they tried to prevent the Electoral College from certifying President Trump as president of the United States because they're anti-democratic. They're communists. They're leftists. They're un-American. They call themselves the Democrat Party. And you may remember that they had Hollywood celebrities like Martin Sheen, whose real name is Emilio Estevez, and he's Basque, and he's an embarrassment to the Basque people. But Emilio Estevez, Martin Sheen, and other Hollywoodites, they put together a video or videos of them saying, oh, you can't certify Trump as president because my friends and I didn't vote for him.
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you. As you know, our founding fathers built the Electoral College to safeguard the American people from the dangers of a demagogue and to ensure that the presidency only goes to someone who is to an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
Like Obama.
By voting your conscience, you and other brave Republican electors can give the House of Representatives the option to select a qualified candidate.
They literally tried to undermine and steal our democracy and steal the presidential election in 2016 after President Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost. And then in January of 2017, before President Trump was inaugurated as president after winning the election and beating Hillary Clinton, which was one of the funniest political moments in the history of the country, to be sure. But the Politico people, January 12th, of 2017, Holder, that's Eric H. Holder Jr., Barack Obama's wingman, Holder launches Democrat redistricting initiative. Well, wait a minute. Former Attorney General Eric Holder on Thursday officially launched the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, billing it in a speech to the Center for American Progress Action Fund as the center of democratic rebuilding in the era of President-elect Donald Trump, and as Democrats' main hope to roll back Republican gains in state legislatures and prepare for redistricting in 2020. Now, notice how it's not gerrymandering when Democrats are doing it. It's still redistricting. The end goal, is to place your head into your colon. House majorities in Congresses elected after 2020, but Holder cited the Virginia governor's race and the potential special legislative races in North Carolina as priorities toward that end happening in 2017. Those states will be two early battlefields, more battlefields, guns, big guns, all the rhetoric, where NDRC will try to ensure Democrats have a rightful seat at the table during the 2020 redistricting process, Holder said. So here they are in 2017 plotting for gerrymandering, and they said, we've heard a lot this past election about rigged systems, and I want to say the biggest rigged system in America is gerrymandering, Eric Holder said, a system where the lines are drawn not to represent American communities, but benefit politicians. The Democrats have been at it for a long, long time. A system where politicians pick their voters, one of their things. In 2017, it goes on, President Barack Obama will now take on a major role in the effort to rebuild the party's presence in local offices with the NDRC, elevating its work from its post-presidency platform. Now, again, Barack Obama, mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis as a young man. Barack Obama made a Communist Party voter, John Penitentiary Face Brennan, the CIA director. That communist voting CIA director then corrupted two presidential elections after that. And so Eric H. Holder, in 2017, before Trump was even inaugurated the first time, they're working on what the media calls redistricting. The Republicans go to do it, and it's gerrymandering, and it's bad, right? And now another story from this week. Dems tap Obama for crucial redistricting push. Again, the Politico. And again, this week by Zach Montanero. And said the House majority next year determine a state-by-state fight over redistricting. But the news media's corruption is on parade here with their, well, when they do it, it's bad. When we do it, we're saving democracy. They literally brought out Martin Sheen and some other, nobody even, I don't even recognize his voice, and I have good voice recognition programming. in my brain, but they don't tell the truth. Our media doesn't tell the truth, and this is pretty appalling stuff. Obama leading Democrats redistricting fundraiser, Martha's Vineyard. David Brooks, that when Trump redistricting, mustard gas on democracy. Stop shooting people. Stop firebombing people and places. Start self-immolating more. Isn't that amazing? You're a Democrat Party.
You have position,
the authority,
and the opportunity to go down in the books as an American hero
who changed the course of history.
Yeah, right. By destroying the greatest constitutional republic in the history of the world. A great piece in the New York Post that I hope to share with you. And it's funny. It's yesterday in the New York Post. It might be in the hard copy today. Quote, real feel, end quote. This is the headline. Real feel temps are a real joke. Don't trust sensational heat index claims. Now, I want to get this to you because this, as I understand it, I've been talking about this on the radio. And as I understand it, by way of my friend Brian Doherty, this made its way to the New York Post, and they did this piece. But I want to get to that. Right now, let's get to a telephone call. Let's go to Jerry, who's calling from Mississippi, listening on the WMAL app. Thanks to Al Gore and his amazing internet. Jerry, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Jerry, quite contrary. Hey, Jerry. Come on now, Jerry. 3, Jerry. 2, Jerry. 1, Jerry. Wah, wah, wah. Where'd Jerry go? Come on. All right, let's go to, hang in there, Jerry. We'll see if we can come back to Jerry. Let's go to Donna, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Donna, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Oh, good morning, Chris, on this crazy Monday. It's going to be an interesting one. With respect to the previous caller from my area, he was spot on about everything. And I want to add to the one thing that the Democrats did that worked in our favor was they gerrymandered Dan Bongino out of our district. So look where he is now. They elevated him up to FBI deputy director. So, they're just crazy. And my whole point is we keep seeing them doing the same things over and over again. The very definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And quick comment about Hillary Clinton with the Nobel Peace Prize. It smells to me, and I'm starting to get this instinct about Russia 2.0. Would love to hear your thoughts on that one, Chris.
Well, the moment Hillary announced that she would nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he were able to bring peace to Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, the first thing I said was she's lying. And I don't know if you were listening to that, but
yep.
We were on the air, and I said she's lying. And we played the audio. We had the headline, and I said she's lying. She's not. She is never telling the truth in anything that she ever says. She's one of the most dishonest people in the history of politics, and that's setting the bar pretty high. I don't envision President Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize. He'll just be the guy that at least half the world will know should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, but the Nobel Committee in Stockholm, they gave it to Barack Obama for melanin levels in his skin, and then Barack Obama, of course, went on to use the U.S. military to attack more countries around the world than any president since the end of World War II. Pretty amazing stuff. So I don't think anything's going to come of that. I think President Trump can bring peace, all of it, and he already has. And he started his first term with the Abraham Accords and Israel and Arab nations. Maybe a Nobel Peace Prize for that alone. President's been, he's a peacemonger, isn't he, Donna? He's
the peacemaker.
he is a peacemonger, and he has been doing nothing but bringing peace everywhere he looks. And he did drop some bombs on Iran, but Iran pushed it, and he gave him a timeline and stopped promoting the Houthis in Yemen, attacking the traffic going into the toward the Suez Canal, which is global trade, right? And Iran was doing that with the Houthis in Yemen. Iran funding, backing, arming Hamas in Gaza against Israel. Hezbollah in Lebanon against Israel, funding war in Syria and danger in Jordan. And so President Trump dropped a few bombs on them to take out their nuclear program that's been brewing for decades now. And then the news media lied about that, didn't they, Donna? And sometimes
they did.
Dropping bombs on the bad guys is not a bad thing, I've got to say. And President Trump has been more peace-oriented than, Joe Biden was a warmonger president. Barack Obama was a warmonger president. The Democrats got us into World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. And, they're the party of war. Oh, yeah, also, let's not forget the American Civil War, because that's kind of a big one, too. Amazing stuff. Donna, thank you for the, okay. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Now, we've got, I got to tell you, we've got a lot of crazy stuff. Eric Swalwell, the Democrat who has had a long-time sexual affair with a Chinese intelligence operative named Fang Fang, a beautiful woman, Chinese honeypot spy in America, linked up with Eric Swalwell when he was a city councilman in California, rode him all the way to the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives in Washington. Eric Swalwell being asked, and this is on redistricting, because Eric Swalwell, California, where the criminal hair gel guy is out to, yada, yada. Here's Eric Swalwell.
When they go low, we're going to bury them below the Capitol. That's what we're going to do, because this is about protecting democracy. And right now, as you see, D.C. has been militarized.
D.C. has been militarized. I see, my memory is functional, and I don't do fentanyl every day. So I remember that Barack Obama, let me move on from him now, because honestly, Joe Biden then became president. We had the National Guard occupying Washington, D.C. for 4 months because, no, they weren't called out after the Democrats attacked the White House for 3 days and set fire to the Church of the Presidents and injured 180 police officers. But when Joe Biden took over, there were National Guardsmen all over Washington, D.C. forever.
We were weak as Democrats, frankly. We passed under Speaker Pelosi in the House of Representatives in April 2021 D.C. statehood. And what happened in the Senate? A few in the Senate refused to break the filibuster, and look where we are today. So we have paid the price for our weakness.
Yeah, we've paid the price for our weakness. They're a warlike, belligerent, violent, criminal bunch of politicos.
Gavin Newsom is making Donald Trump react to him with the lawsuits, with this new map to match what's happening in Texas. And the way I see it is either we're on our heels and the most vulnerable are on their heels reacting to Donald Trump, or he's on his heels reacting to us.
They're the party of the American Civil War. They really are. Here's another fun thing, because President Trump meeting with European leaders, several prime ministers, the head of NATO, the head of the European Commission, and also Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House today. First, a one-on-one with Volodymyr Zelensky. But I was having a fun conversation over the weekend with a friend of mine, a smart guy and a writer and a thinker, Scott Hoganson. And Scott Hoganson and I going back and forth over the weekend. And I said, they're attacking Trump for trying to bring peace between Ukraine and Russia, and they're literally attacking him for it because they're the warmonger party. And for meeting with Putin in Alaska, and the media attacking him. And my friend Scott Hoganson, you can find him online, talking about, MSNBC losing their mind on Friday because Trump was going to be meeting with Putin, and calling Putin a war criminal, and how dare Trump meet with him and all this stuff. And, of course, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, met with Joseph Stalin 3 times during World War II. They were murdering millions and millions in the Soviet Union then, too. Met in Tehran, met in Cairo, met in Yalta. And then, of course, at the end of World War II, it's like, you can't give 1 inch of Ukraine to Russia. Don't give 1 inch of Ukraine. Don't give the Donbass. Don't give anything. So they'd have an avenue down to the Crimea and to the Black Sea and the Black Sea Fleet, Russian ambitions that go way back. But Scott pointed out, last time American president made peace with Russia, a Russian leader, was 1945. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the Democrats gave away all of Eastern Europe. They gave away not only Ukraine, but Belarus and Poland and Czechoslovakia and Romania and Hungary and Bulgaria and East Germany. And FDR said, oh, yeah, you can keep all of it. Keep all of Eastern Europe. Keep Albania. Keep Croatia. Keep Serbia. Keep it all. And that was FDR. And, he's on a coin. That's right. He's on the dime. And that's okay. In fact, he's a hero of the Democrat Party. He gave Joseph Stalin, the number 2 murderer in the history of the world behind Mao Zedong, gave him all of Eastern Europe, country after country after country, hundreds of millions of people enslaved by Joseph Stalin with a big smile from Democrat President FDR. But if Trump wants to talk about giving away a slice of real estate that is occupied by a majority of Russian ethnic Russians inside of Ukraine, then he's the villain of this story. You detected these are not truthful people? Now, I want to make a correction here because a brilliant American woman named Margaret called in to correct me on something. And that is that the Nobel Peace Prize doesn't come out of Stockholm, as any school child can tell you. It comes out of Oslo, Norway. And I mistakenly said Stockholm earlier, other Nobel Prize, but we'll get into that later. So thank you, Margaret, for correcting me on that and making sure we had that right. Lots of amazing things going on. Now, I should also mention that Newsmax TV has settled a lawsuit with Dominion Voting Systems, paying allegedly, what is it now? Paying 67, that's what it is, $67 million, according to the Associated Press, at least. Now, Fox News lost their lawsuit to Dominion. They paid $787.5 million to, so I think that Newsmax's record much better on this, because while they lost on defamation, yada yada, but Newsmax settled that, moving on, getting their stock back on track too. That ought to be a very good thing. So much to talk about, so little time. I'll have to come back tomorrow for more.